some of the science behind it will drive you insane. The only science you should be focused on is consistency and committing to the action. If you're worried about the result, it'll deter you and you'll fall off.
All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Episode number 5 here of Cards and Content. First off, shout out to everybody for coming back. Shout out to everybody for joining us for a new episode. Excited to continue on this journey together. Last week's episode was a lot of fun to film down there in Dallas. Shout out to our friend CJ and the guys over at Leaf for welcoming us in with open arms. It was a lot of fun to be back down there. We hadn't been down there and been at Leaf since we had done the tour previously. There was some cool content we did on the channel, touring their warehouse with the game used jerseys, some of that stuff. So a lot of fun. Got some cool feedback from that. We'll get to that giveaway question later because we got some cool answers about that. So I'd love to get more into some of the popular answers. So I think that'll be fun. But again, shout out to Lee for really showing us and just being super open. That was some of the feedback we had got. And that was the feedback I would share is, Leaf was very open around, some of the deals and how they worked, the price of the boxes because of that, exclusive autograph deals, just stuff like, a few of those topics. So again, shout out to Leaf. A lot of fun. This week's episode, I know people are going to be intrigued by. This is, we're going to get into an interview here in a little bit with one of the biggest names in sports card content creation right now. A-plus dude. I've known him for quite a while, so excited to get into that. We'll have a fun one this week. But got to start with the usual. We got to start with what's on your mind. Just one piece today, something that's on my mind. It's not necessarily card related. I'll get into it a little bit. But this weekend, we're recording this a little early. I wish I had some games to talk about because this episode drops Monday morning. We've got to get ahead on it just with the scheduling piece. So I really wish this was a Monday morning podcast. I had enough time to turn around, edit, and flip over because I would love to talk about some of these games. But the first weekend, opening weekend of March Madness basketball is the single greatest sporting weekend of the year. You couldn't convince me otherwise. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, nothing but NCAA tournament games. It is the single greatest weekend of sports all year long. The fact that it goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is crazy. It's nonstop all day. It's amazing. The one thing I think about on this is bigger conversation. I would love to ask Topps and Panini specifically because they're the ones that I'm sure have dealt with it the most. But this idea of, is it COVID? Is it something else that's delayed it? You've got Bowman Chrome University basketball that is set to release, I believe, April 3rd. We'll get into April 3rd here in a second because that date means something here. But April 3rd is when Bowman Chrome U basketball is supposed to come out. Topps announced the other day they signed Juju Watkins to an autograph deal. She's been in Bowman Chrome U before. She was, I believe, in her high school uniform. But you've got Cooper Flagg. You'll have Hannah Hidalgo's in it. You'll have, I believe, Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey are both in it. You have some big names. But the idea that product is not out until, the third weekend of the end of the season. This happens with Panini. We're still getting, we'll talk about some of the latest product coming out here soon. What's coming out this week with, Encore football for 24. The season's over. Basketball season's about to end. I'm curious on where that delay has come from and how to stop it in the future. Because I think everybody would agree it is advantageous to the collector, to the fan base, to everyone for those products to be out during the season. Cooper Flagg becoming a star and having big games and having those cards available, some of his best stuff, his Bowman Chrome, Reds, the Superfractor, those being available to collect during the season is ideal. I think we would all agree on that. So what is preventing them from coming out later? Again, would be foolish to throw the blame at one of those companies because it's happening with both. Like Bowman Crum U basketball and Encore football. 24 seasons over, and again, basketball season's about to end. So where is that delay from? The rumor was always that COVID had delayed some of those things. It was hard to get stuff over. If you remember, if you were, a collector during COVID, the price of top loaders got to like $10 because you could not get them. Like they were not coming over on chips. So the price of top loaders it was through the roof. Everybody needs them, but you can't get them. So was there any delays from COVID that prevented this, and we're still playing catch up through the backlog to just catch up and get ahead? Is it the number of products being released keeping those? Is it autograph deals with athletes? I would love to learn more from these companies. I'm not sure if we'll get that transparency if they're willing to share that, but I think it would be fun to see if one of them would potentially come on here and talk about why there is a delay and how we get ahead of this so that when we get to the NCAA tournament, we have multiple Topps products, and Cooper Flag has cards available, and those things are available and in the market. Not, I saw Topps is doing like a March Madness product where it's like you get like one autograph. It's like a Topps Now thing. I think it dropped last week, basically when this episode dropped. I think it dropped on the prior Thursday. Brian's pulling it up now. It's like a Topps like March Madness tournament card. Where you get like I think it's like one autograph. I'll have to check the specifics, but like those are just going to be redemptions for later. Like if Cooper Flag signs in it, which I think he does, I think Juju does. If you get those, that's last year's, Brian. It's probably under Topps Now. Brian's trying to pull it up in the background, but those Jujus, like that product's going to ship later. You're going to get them later. The tournament's going to be over and done by the time those come out. So how do we get those products out and build some momentum around these moments live in real time? There's something coming again when we talk about the news products this week. Topps is dropping like some like fun I think it's called Fun Mega Box. I think that's literally what it's called, where it's like a fun mega box, and it drops I think next week on the 27th or this week on the 27th on Thursday, opening day for Major League Baseball. And it's like you get like confetti parallels, and it looks like, again, according to the sell sheet, it looks like it's supposed to be this product around the release and the opening day of baseball, which is exciting, builds momentum around a product and an event. But with guys like Cooper Flag, like you've got him in All-American in his high school uniform. We have no licensed pack-pulled Duke autographs on the market at the moment. It's all Topps Now, or it's all Topps McDonald's All-American. His freshman season, potentially his only season at Duke. The NCAA tournament starting, potentially his only NCAA tournament, and he doesn't have trading cards available in a Duke uniform that are pack-pulled, where a young collector, a father-son, can walk in on NCAA tournament weekend and buy a pack of Bowman Chrome U to pull a Cooper Flag card together. And again, this is not on a Topps thing. This is not on a Panini thing. It's happening in both. But how do we fix that? How do we get ahead so when these moments happen? I'm very intrigued by this. It turned into March Madness is the greatest sporting opening weekend, is the best sporting event of the year, to how do we get it to where there's packs and products available on those days and times on the moments. Again, you're seeing it with Topps because it's definitely a priority because you got the fun mega box dropping this week on opening day of baseball. So they're aware of it. They're doing things around it. How do we build more momentum around it to where it's more accessible for multiple sports? Would love to have a conversation with Topps or Panini, just to kind of learn more about that and see, where some of those delays are coming from, if it's intentional, unintentional, and, ultimately how we fix it in the future. I think Cooper Flag stuff would be hot if it was out. It obviously sells really well. It is, I'm sure we'll find out after this podcast is out, but since we're recording a little bit early, there's rumors that he may not play. His stuff would probably be pretty, it's already pretty strong, but if he did play, they end up winning a national title. If anything like that happens, there would be a pretty strong market for his stuff. But in terms of markets that are that are already absolutely on fire, I know I've talked about this. I think it was 2 weeks ago we talked about it. I think it might have been like the One Thing Today segment we did a couple weeks ago. Pokemon. I feel like I've got to have a guest before too long that is Pokemon focused, that knows that area. Hopefully it's somebody local here. Would love to have somebody in person just to kind of chat it up and learn more about it. Pokemon is on a whole different level right now. The sales, the interest, the volume, the demand, it's crazy. It's next level. And I don't know why, right? The collector in me is trying to understand. There's obviously big chase cards in there. Print quality is often pretty good, especially in some of the Japanese stuff. You've got God packs, really learning about some of it through, conversations with collectors at Dallas. Dallas was a great show. We learned, I loved to have conversations there and just to ultimately learn. But why is Pokemon just at a all-time level? Again, I think there's going to be a lot more of this conversation continued in the products dropping this week combo at the very end post interview, because I've got something to talk about there, because there's a product dropping this week. We'll talk more about it then, but it is probably the most anticipated product all week that is dropping. And you've got football, you've got basketball, you've got baseball. Like, we've got a lot of different product dropping, and I feel pretty good saying that the most in-demand product in our store this week will be that Pokemon product. So crazy how we've come to this point, but would love to learn more as to why. So hopefully we can get someone on here soon. If you guys, any ideas, any recommendations, whether they're local, whether there's somebody that's in the content game or not, would love to, have someone on before too long we can chat with. So hopefully that is coming soon. Paul Skeens, at the time of recording this, has 1 day, 9 hours left. I think it's 4 hours left, Brian. Yeah, 1 day, 4 hours. Currently, it is at $700,000 plus buyer's premium. I think Sports Card Investors team tweeted about this, Brian. I think it was at like $800 thousand. I think it's at like $840 with buyer's premium, because I think Jeff's team said that it's going to make like I think Skeens makes $875,000 in 2025. The card might surpass his dollars, his salary in 2025. Yeah, right there. $840,000 is what it's currently at with buyer's premium. Is it going to hit $1 million? I think I predicted on last week's episode. I believe it will hit $1 million, which would be more than Paul Skeens' salary in 2025 for the Pirates. Again, we talked about this, was it last week, 2 weeks ago, that this is, in my opinion, the grail card any athlete can have in the trading card space. Paul Skeens is going to be the biggest one to sell, and I likely would imagine it will be the biggest for a while. Be curious who you guys think might top that. I'm trying to think down the line, and I don't know enough about the international market if, Sasaki for the Dodgers would top that, or who else could potentially get there. I know we'll have some big names, but could anybody top Skeens in baseball anytime soon? Seems unlikely. I feel like it's got to be more of a basketball, football guy when those moments come, but definitely going to be a talked about sale, considering all the offers that were on the table for it, the demand for it. I know the number is going to be live when this episode drops, so I'm excited to talk about it soon, just to kind of see where it ends. So we'll see. Currently, $160,000 away from $1 million. Will it get there? We'll find out soon. You guys probably know, but again, you will know by the time this episode is live. But that's my prediction: is it's gonna get over $1 million. I talked about it earlier. This would be something fun, I think, to do on its own segment. One of the questions we get, we get a lot of questions about preparing for card shows and tracking inventory and just a lot of the day-to-day things around the business side of things. Obviously, it is no secret we sell on Whatnot a ton. We're on there all the time. The Whatnot card show is about 2 weeks away. Whatnot runs 2 of these a year. Normally, Brian, I think the last one was in October, November. I think it's right around the Black Friday time. This one is going to be on April. It's 3rd through the 6th. We will be live on April 3rd. That's a Thursday. That's opening day of the Whatnot card show. It is absolutely massive. Whatnot puts a ton of energy and effort into promoting a lot of sellers on this. It is a big deal. There's an insane amount of things for sale. I think I was told the number is 10,000 plus dealers. It's a lot, obviously, the comfort of your home, but it is a big deal for our company. There was a photo I shared last year on IG that, again, more conversation for another day. I'm genuinely excited to get into is the content piece behind those as well. We shared that photo. The photo was insane. It was the single most amount of shipments we've ever had in one order at a time, or one sale at a time. It was over 4,000. Obviously intending to beat that this time. Want to continue to level up. But I think it'll be a fun conversation to kind of talk about some of the like logistics and what goes into running a sale of that magnitude. We want to do 5,000 orders, so 5,000 individual items. Last time it was over 4,000, and the prep, the photoing of cards, the organization, the pre-ordering of supplies, like just to ship that many items requires a huge team to plan the supplies needed, to plan the inventory, to plan the execution of the shipping, to communication around the messaging for questions, the marketing of the event. Like it goes well now because we've run so many of these. We know how to run them. But I think this is a conversation I'm genuinely eager to, get more into. So some more. I think that would be a fun episode, a little bit longer, maybe an episode we don't do an interview on, where it's, what goes into, it could be virtual or an in-person show, because we don't do as many in-person shows a year. There's normally like 5 or 6 we set up at the National, Shipshawana. Hopefully we can set up at Dallas once or twice in the future. But for the most part, we do. The Whatnot Card Show is a massive, massive piece of our, is a massive sale for us throughout the year. So I think talking about what goes into that would probably give some folks some insights. If you have any questions about that, if there's anything in particular, drop a comment on the YouTube page, send us a DM on IG. I would love to learn more about it. I'll give a little sneak peek in here to those that are listening or watching. We have these shows are normally ones for the biggest giveaways we do all year. We will have a case of Transcendent Baseball. We're working on the details at the moment, but that will be given away on the show once we hit that 5K order mark. Again, we hit 4,000 last time. We got a good bit over 4,000. That was the goal. So when we hit 5,000 this time, we'll trigger that. But as we get up to that 5,000 order mark, we'll have some pretty cool giveaways as well. I don't want to give too many details away, but it is a big deal. We are very prepared for it. I'm eager to get into that. So would love to maybe start gathering some questions. Our team's keeping track of a lot of them. We've been very focused on some of the feedback, some of the questions, some of those things that have come in, and how we can incorporate them into future episodes. So whether that's audio feedback or feedbacks on segments or questions you want answered, just know we are spending the time to try to to get a lot of that stuff answered. So shameless plug. Use the link. We've got a link in our bio, I think, on YouTube. Get you like $15 off your first purchase on there. This shameless plug because I want everybody here to stop by the Whatnot Card Show because it is a lot of fun. I really enjoy it and excited for that. So hopefully, future episode, how to prepare for a card show. That would be a fun one. I would love to solicit some questions on and give some feedback on. Last thing before we, I've got 2 things. I got to pick a giveaway winner for last week. Shout out to everybody who answered questions about Leaf, some of the autographs you want to see. Only other thing, starting to get in, again, big sports time here. I know football, unfortunately, selfishly would love it to be on, but NCAA tournament starting, great couple weeks, ton of fun. Love March for that. But baseball starting. Baseball is starting opening day, March 27th. I think that's Reds opening day as well. Is March 27th. I think they're at home. I think it's 4:00, Brian. But baseball starting. What's the buzz? Again, I'm not the baseball expert, but what's the buzz around that? Obviously, the Reds. I've talked about it before, and we talk about this in a little bit of our content. Ellie is Joe Burrow's the guy here in Columbus. Ellie is a very, very close second. So, let's find some. Oh, it's March 27th is opening day. Yep, March 27th is opening day. Ellie's the guy here. Hopefully, I saw a rumor the other day that said Ellie might be the first player to ever sign $1 billion deal. I know baseball is a little crazy and does it differently. I'm going to guess that's not $1 billion deal with Cincinnati Reds. That sounds like $1 billion deal with the Dodgers deferred to 2020, 2050. Unfortunately, I think that's probably the reality that, a guy like Ellie that is that electric and, what he brings to an organization. I'm going to guess he's not a Red for much longer. But hopefully he is, because he sells incredibly well. He's a fan favorite around here, but, excited to see how the Reds do. Reds, Guardians. We'll have some cool content coming soon on our Instagram pages with some pretty cool giveaways. Our friends over at Zion Cases hooking it up for opening day. So if you guys are looking for some brand new cases, we'll have some pretty cool giveaways actually really, really soon for some of those. But again, for all my baseball fanatics out there who can give some insight onto what we should expect. Are the Dodgers going to run away with it? Shout out to my guys at Card Talk. When we used to do Card Talk, we used to give predictions for NFL season, all those things. Baseball season, when you were doing predictions, it's like, who's going to win the World Series? I don't follow baseball enough to tell you this team's going to win or this team's going to win. But betting against the Dodgers would seem like incredibly stupid right now with the money they spend on that. That's the one thing I've always struggled with baseball is, there's no salary cap. So big market teams like the Dodgers have everybody, and the Reds have Ellie and Matt McClain. So little different, but would love to know who you guys got for World Series. Dodgers Yankees was last year. Is it Dodgers Yankees again? Mets Yankees, maybe a little Subway Series with Soto going to the Mets now. We'll see, but who do you guys think? Who do you guys think is going this way or this year? Giveaway. We've done a couple now. Last one was with Leaf. Most recent one, which we're going to announce today. Leaf gives a box of Leaf Trinity to give away. Leaf Trinity football, again, I talked about it last week. One of the more enjoyable products Leaf makes. I love the patch autos. They've added booklets this year. We've got a box, and we are giving that away. My guy Tilly Cards. The answer was incredible, and I love it. He says, love the episode and love the Dallas Card Show. One of the best. I think it would be really neat for Leaf to make the Olympics as part of their lineup. Not just American athletes. I think they could add international stars, maybe a Winter Olympics and Summer Olympics product, but it would hit across the globe, especially as we strive for the hobby to become an international experience. Love, agreed, 10 out of 10, love this answer. I think this is awesome. I think as you try to make the game global, or the card game global, adding products that appeal to not just athletes in the U.S. would be huge. I've always said in other products that I think that USA specific stuff does well. We had a recent mail day and I got a women's soccer dual auto and I talked about it then. But I think the USA, the home country jerseys, that stuff does well. Curry in the Olympics with the LeBron triple, ton of buzz around that card. World Cup stuff, the hockey tournament. I love going to hockey games, but I don't religiously watch hockey. When that tournament was on, the Four Nations face-off, I was glued to the TV. A+ experience there. I think the international stuff, the supporting your home country, I think that brings a different stuff. Brings a different interest level. So I would love to see Leaf add USA kit, soccer cards, or again, Summer or Winter Olympics, expand on those, and again have other countries represented. I think it would definitely help grow the card market internationally. So love this answer. He did mention in here Dallas Card Show. You'll see one of the interviews today. We filmed the Leaf one last week in Dallas. We didn't get to talk about Dallas because the episode was recorded before really we got to experience Dallas, and it would have been the one thing on my mind because it was so good, but I feel like the one thing on my mind lately has been so much around card shows. But let me tell you, that card show, you'll hear it in a lot of the interviews. If you watch the content, I'm very open about this. That card show is run perfectly. Kyle and his team do an amazing job. It has everything that you need in one card show. We were there all day Thursday, all day Friday, half a day Saturday. And I don't think we left. I know we didn't. And Brian shaking his head, yes. We did not leave the main room. The main room. There's multiple side rooms. I mean, the Starlight room has 250 tables in it. We didn't leave the main room until Saturday at 12:30 when we were going up to the hotel, or when we were going up to the room. Went in the side room. Somebody approached us at a table and said, hey, I want to say this wrestling lot. Did a $6,000 wrestling deal in the hallway and had to go upstairs because we ran out of time and didn't get to buy anything from any of the dealers in any of the side rooms. That's how good that show is. We were there for 2.5 days filming, 2.5 days buying. We filled three full Zion cases, 3 full Zion cases. These are not small cases, the biggest rolling ones they have. We filled 3 of those in the main room at the Dallas Card Show in 2.5 days. If you could ever go to the Dallas Card Show, whether you're local, whether you're flying in, whether you're interested, it is the closest thing to the National at the moment without being at the National. I know Fanatics is putting a lot of effort and money and energy and resources and marketing and all of those things into Fanatics Fest. It's before the National this year, during the summer. We will see what that means compared to being after the National this year. Very intrigued by that and what it will do, being in New York in June prior to the National. But right now, the Dallas Card Show it's awesome. I would love to go to Burbank because I think the Burbank show, from everything I've heard, has become basically the Dallas of the West Coast and is a massive show. I know a lot of people that have gone to it and just say it's next level. I know they call it the West Coast Card Show now. It used to be the Burbank Card Show. But would love to go to that. I think that's one I'm looking forward to. But Dallas is that one show that we go to, and it feels like, when I was wrapping up the videos and we were closing the last video, I said it then and I would say it now. It feels like every time I want to get on the camera and say, this was the best Dallas Card Show we ever had. But it feels like we say that every single time, because every time we leave with cool stuff and we see good people, and it's so enjoyable. I love that show. It happens 6 times a year, and I look forward to it every time. So Dallas, A+ work again. Got some great content. Got to meet some good people. Have some great food. A+. The only thing that sucks, delays. Every time we fly to Dallas, always some kind of delay. Miserable, but good news is Dallas Airport has great food. If you know, Dallas Airport, 10 out of 10 food. All right. Got to kick it over to the interview. This was probably, Brian, most number 1 commented guest. Oh, yeah, for sure. He says, oh, yeah, for sure. Most commented guest to be included on the podcast, no question, was Kyle, King of Cards. If you guys have not already seen Kyle, you're either living under a rock or you're not on social that has short form video. Kyle makes a lot of long form video on YouTube. Those crush, but a short form video is, and you'll hear it on the podcast, the interview. It's different. It's next level. It's the best in the game right now. He crushes. It's good. It's really good. He's great. I've known Kyle for a while, so was really excited to get him on. The people spoke. The people wanted him on. We got some time in Dallas late on Thursday night. Kyle made some time for us. It was a lot of fun. So this is the interview with Kyle, King of the Cards. All right, guys, we are back. Another podcast here live from the Dallas Card Show. But today's interview is not just a regular interview. This is a very special one Brian and I have been looking forward to for quite some time. The man on my left here is one of, if not the biggest names in sports card content right now. He's a friend, someone I've known a while, and I'm excited for Kyle and I to have the chance to connect today. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle, King of the Cards on IG, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Kyle, thanks for coming on.
Very, very humbling coming from you. I appreciate it, and have a lot of respect for what you've been able to do here. And for years, we've known each other. So to be able to sit in this setting and both kind of enjoying what we're doing and having fun with the game, it's awesome. So I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate the kind words a ton. Kyle and we've been chatting a lot off camera. Brian was just like, hey, we got to start recording this at some point. So we've already had a lot of good banter, a lot of good discussion. So I'm excited to continue this on here. I obviously know about you, your story. Again, we've seen each other at this show, it feels like a dozen times. But for those of you who may have been living in Iraq and don't know, who are you and how'd you get here?
So my name is Kyle Kravitz, and I am a humble hobbyist who started with my card collection like anybody else. growing up, all I wanted was to be, future ball player for the Yankees, and I was playing all my sports. I had my entire card collection. I loved autographed memorabilia. I'd go to the ballparks, go get autographs. I was one of those grapher kids running around like a nut job, just trying to even hustle then. And even at that point, I was seeing it almost as a business opportunity. I was 13, 14, 15 years old, going getting autographs, flipping and trading the autographs I was getting, going to get cards, flipping and trading those. And it all stems from that seed of just a passion for what I was doing and having a vision at that point. But I got to college and, did college, learned what girls were. I was like, okay, I'm gonna put cards on the shelf for a few minutes here, circle to the back end of college, and I had to figure out what life was gonna look like after that. What do I love doing? What do I wanna do every day? And I pinpointed exactly what I needed to, which was the hobby, collecting, being around it. So I got right back into it, actually at first trying to fund my collection and just things I would want. I was preparing to go into the world with a regular job, and I said, you know what, maybe I can make this my job, my career.
Yep.
And that's what it all stems from originally. Put my head down while I was still in school, and I'm sitting in the back of my classes. I was in the back of my MBA classes, just flipping on Instagram, eBay, and trying to make sure that by the time I walked out of there, I had what I wanted. And sure enough, by the time I was finishing up and had my degree, I had an up and running business, enough so that I can continue, and it is built and grown, and I stuck with it, and even when it got tough, didn't give up on it. And there's a whole lot in between then and right now, but that's the main course of how we got here.
That's awesome. We have I knew bits and pieces of that, but I didn't realize, we had similar, they're differing, but there's similar stories. Like, I built my career while right out of school. I'd got a job. I was like, hey, got to get that 9 to 5. That's where I got into Gary's content. I know we both share a mutual, admiration for Gary Vee.
Sure.
Was watching his content, and my wife and I were going to get married, and it was like, hey, I'm going to pay for the wedding through the flipping game. So I was trying to build that business, obviously collect, enjoy it, a hobbyist, right? Like, still love this, but still want to try to make this a 9 to 5. And the idea was, hey, if I can make $45,000, $50,000 a year doing this, I'd be much happier in life. Let me try it. So I love the idea of like building it while you have that time, because I had it, and it sounds like you did too. And then you get to the point where it's like, cool, I'm ready, and this is perfect timing, and let's see how it goes. That
was exactly what it was. And I remember I called my grandfather, so I still talk to him about it to this day, but there was a day I can pinpoint, like a phone call, and I said to him, I'm gonna figure this out. I don't know what it's gonna look like, I just know that I wake up walking out of school and continuing this.
Yep.
I know I'm gonna find a way to do it. It has to be that. I didn't even know what I'd want to do in a 9 to 5. The thought of working in that frame and doing something that made me unhappy, I couldn't live with that. Yep. And so I really made some sacrifices, missed out on some nights out with the boys that not everybody understood at the time, but they all get it now, and it's just one of those things. You got to do what you have to do. And it was the same mindset. At first, all the cards I wanted just to enjoy, I just wanted to be able to afford. So I was prepared to go into the world. My MBA was in nonprofit management. So really my whole focus was all my internships, all my part-time work in college as a student was preparing me so I could go make an impact on the world and do something good. That was what I had everything centered around. So how do you end up here? How do you pivot to that? Well, I started realizing I was really good on the for-profit side, and that potentially in the grand scheme of things, my for-profit work might be the best way I can help the nonprofit work, is by going out and making something happen. So somewhere in that little time frame there, I took the seed money that I had, which I think I had from part-time work, it was right around 10 grand that I saved up, and I dug every single, no exaggeration, every single penny of it into cards and started rolling that snowball down the hill. And that's kind of where it all stemmed from.
That's crazy. We literally just had a conversation. Brian's laughing. We had a conversation with Josh Roth Cards.
Yeah.
And literally that story is almost identical. Josh brings up the snowball thing, $10,000 start. Like, it's very, very similar. A lot of these stories, and it's just like, I know from our conversations and from what you've explained even here, it's just like figuring it out is the only option. Like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to hustle, but like
just don't give yourself another choice.
Yep. Yeah, that's one thing Josh talked about for sure was just, this is the option. How do we make it work? When did your journey, like, I don't know what year you graduated. When did you graduate?
I graduated, so 2019 undergrad, and then 2020 in the winter with my master's.
Gotcha. So like so you basically got in like peak market then. You got in at a different time now versus like where we are now versus then.
Right. So it was an interesting time for sure. There were pros and cons to that. I'll say this.
Sure.
I got some huge wins that I may not have deserved to, and I took some huge losses that I also did not deserve to. I can say that. So it all came with that. And a lot of people harp on the time frame that it came within. I genuinely believe that what we saw in the people that are still in it to this point, there's enough time that's elapsed where you can kind of see who was reliant on just hitting that lottery ticket almost, or just getting it at the right time, and who actually understood how to conduct the business,
build a business,
what would appreciate and what wouldn't, and how to facilitate things. So I think that's been an interesting thing to look back on is when. And there's a lot of energy around it, but what did you do with that? And did you take the opportunity to learn how to do it properly for when not everything that you touched 5X's overnight?
Yep, properly, the right way. Again, like the 5X thing is crazy. I mean, I remember that August, September of 2020. Like, you bought it, and by the time you got it in the mail, it was worth more money.
Right.
Zion 10 Prisms got to $1,000 almost. Like, the market was in a much different time, but again, if you did it the right way and you're playing the long game, you could have built something cool, and you're still here. And I think that I didn't bring it up as like the timing thing meant anything.
No, absolutely.
Starting in there, I was just more curious on like how long, because it sounds like at this point it's been what, 5 years, almost 5 years.
5 years of approaching it as a business, coming up on 5 years where I really dug into it at that level. Because I went into that phone call that I made to my grandfather where I said, hey, like, I'm going to do this. That was going into my MBA program.
Okay.
I said, I have this time frame that I've allotted myself. I did real well as a student, and got that opportunity and said, I'll take my master's. And you know what? If nothing else happens, I will take my piece of paper like everybody else, and I'll go and I'll find that job. And that's what I've been training for. That's what the education was for, right? Or I'm going to have this figured out. That was always what I knew I wanted, what I felt like I needed. It got to the point of feeling like I needed to do this.
For sure.
And yeah, I distinctly I remember, can't tell you what was on the board because I wasn't paying attention to the class, but I remember being in the back row and I had my laptop set up, eBay, Instagram on my phone. There was one time where I was looking up like 2014 Prism World Cup. I was kind of trying to get in on that early as I saw it ticking along, and people were realizing the appreciation of Prism in general, and then that set and the Messi and Ronaldos, and then how hard the color was to come by. And I'm popping raw ones that I'm getting ready to pick up and then send in a grading order if any are clean. I mean, like, those are things that I distinctly remember about this journey, and it seems like something so simple, but all of that is what amounts to what it is now.
I love it. Yeah, it's crazy just hearing you talk about it, because I think about it and I'm like, I did this. I sat in there with 2 computers, watched Gary Vee and flipped cards and scrolled eBay and then did a little bit of data work. And I'm like, the need thing is so true. It's like I sat there and I'm like, I can't do this forever. I need to understand if I can make this work. And I viewed it the same way you did, because it was always like, my degree, you go to school for it, you learn it.
Yep.
That was always the backup plan. It's like, this is my fallback plan if I try cards and it doesn't work, but at least I can say I did it, because I feel like I wake up every day and I need it in my life. So I resonate with that so much, and I think a lot of people do. I think one of the biggest pieces I'm the most curious about is, again, I've known you for a while, you've put out content for a while, but at some point recently, 6 months ago, a year ago, I don't know the exact date, you probably might know a little better, Brian might know this, your content, specifically shorts, went from, I don't know where it was, but there's no doubt about it to anybody watching. It is can't miss content right now. My guy is charismatic, charming,
Come on now.
funny. The guy does not miss on content. Brian and I talk a lot about it. I'm sure we're going to get into it in this conversation around short form video. It's something we do a lot of on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. This man right here, I'm going to look in the camera and I'm going to tell the camera this. This man right here is he's the king of the cards. He'll tell you that. His Instagram name will tell you that. But he's the king of the content right now because it is crazy. Tell me how it happened. Tell me how we got there. Short form versus long form. This is a cards and content podcast.
Sure,
we could talk about cards all day, but I'm specifically interested about the content piece of you.
I have to say, so before I get into it, it means a lot. Seriously, coming from you and you guys, both of you, because I've seen you at shows for so long, and there's no question the respect and admiration I have for what you guys have put together over here. So don't think that, watching people kind of lead the way and create that path for others to create their own journey goes unnoticed. So I really appreciate that. But, that being said, I think I wanted to attack this thing to the fullest. And I didn't know what that actually meant until about, where we're sitting now, about a year ago.
Okay.
People knew who I was kind of in the space. I had a following, but it wasn't nearly to the scale. The viewership wasn't. I definitely had good content going.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize what that meant to really go all in.
Yep.
I made a commitment to myself, and to be exact, it was April of last year. I can remember I went to the Toronto Expo. I was going back there. I said, this is where also my favorite times and best contents come from.
Great show.
I had all these shows back to back to back to back to back. Deals are rolling in. I'm doing more bigger deals, and the business had grown and everything. When, if not now? And so I devised the game plan. How much content I was going to put out, how it was going to take place, where it was going to take place, and I didn't care if it meant, at the end of a long show day that I had to go back and edit that video myself to get it up there for that day. I was going to execute that plan to perfection and stay so consistent that there was no question about what was going to happen. Because the content was already there, and what wasn't there yet was the consistency. And the consistency was also something that you learned from and enabled you to get 1% better every time you were putting out one of these videos. You needed that sample size, but it really started to become a compounding interest thing. And you guys are incredibly consistent too with what you guys are doing. So I don't have to tell you about what that can lead to when you actually learn what that means. Because people say they're consistent,
Yep.
and they don't actually understand. They think that they're telling the truth.
Yep.
But when you get consistent, I feel like I have some room to run still, and we're working on that actively. But there would go a week and I wouldn't post much of anything. That can't happen.
Yep.
It's hard now to go a couple days without posting anything. And now we're trying to scale it to there's no reason in the systems that be as they are to not have stuff out every day. And it's not about each video getting every video perfect. It's about being consistent overall, because even the ones in between, the banger videos, not everyone's going to be that big one that crushes. Not everyone's the game-winning shot. You got to hit the layups too.
Yep.
And that's what it became. So I can't perfectly pin it. I've always tried to be myself all the way through and through. If you catch me on or off camera, I know we were talking about this before, but I think authenticity is the biggest thing. People aren't stupid. They pick up on it no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing. If you're real, people can see that. If you're not, people can see it.
Yep.
And so sticking to that and just putting it out there, but really working at making the most of what I already had. The content was there. It was about how much can I get out? How many people can we get in front of? How many reps can we get in to keep getting better?
So many great points in there. The repetition thing is a big thing for us. Brian and I have had a lot of those conversations just around TikTok was a big one for me. I was really big on TikTok and the short form content early on. And I know you are big on TikTok. You're big on the short form. And that was one thing Brian and I talked about was I don't know when it was, probably almost a year ago, probably a very similar time, but it was, we can't miss a TikTok upload. every single day, no matter what, we have to get something up.
Yep.
And again, like you said, it was about being honest with yourself. Like, it's not always home run videos. Not everyone is the best, the coolest video, the best interaction. Not every one of those is gonna be a home run. Sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes a video pops off that you don't expect to, or vice versa. You've got the videos like, this great video's great. Like, what do you mean? It's got 8 views. Like, that can't be a thing. So you've got those, but it was a year from now. I want to look back and say we posted every single day, and I think you can attest to this too. I think the one thing people often overlook in the short form content is this idea that when you create the piece of content, there's nothing stopping you from posting on TikTok and
That's
IG
right.
and YouTube and Facebook and all of these places. And when you have one good piece of content on all of these platforms, it's a humongous recipe for success.
So that the efficiency thing is a huge note. Yep. For sure. For me, it doesn't work for every kind of style of content or every piece of content. So it's about testing that out at first. But been very fortunate to find that we design one video and our style of content ends up working like simultaneously. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and then to Facebook, I guess it leaks on there too. But it's really, if you can get that art down, it is so much easier to be efficient because you're creating one piece of content that serves a few audiences. And for anybody that thinks the audiences are the same, there's some overlap. Very low percentage. Like, you got 3 different audiences there. There's people that call me a TikToker, and there's people that call me a YouTuber.
Yep.
I can't say anybody said an Instagrammer, but you get the point. Like, it's just one of those things where there's so many different opportunities in these different areas, and we're exploring other platforms coming up shortly here too of where we can do things. But if you can create a style, a format that gets you onto every platform as soon as you do one piece of work, that's unbelievable.
For sure.
And if I had any advice on that front, it would be in terms of posting. You're talking a lot about posting every day or something to that effect, but commit to the action and not the result. Meaning, don't look at the numbers, because once you take a step back, and this isn't my game I'm spitting over here, okay? This is from, watching a lot of different videos and reading a lot about this stuff, but I would want to pass it on to the next person. If you get harped up on the numbers that it's producing, you'll confuse yourself, because like you just said, oh, this one was perfect. This is going to get millions. It goes nowhere. This one's whatever, I'll post it anyway, gets millions. Some of the science behind it will drive you insane. The only science you should be focused on is consistency and committing to the action. If you're worried about the result, it'll deter you and you'll fall off. But over the course of time, if you let yourself stick to that month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, it's gonna pan out. But you just have to be real about it.
For sure. I think going back to your original point though, the one thing I wanna, bring back up, you talk about like how you got here, and you brought up the authenticity piece, and this is one thing like I want to give you all the credit in the world for, because Brian and I were talking about it beforehand about some of these interviews, and I've seen you at this show so many times, the Expo. I know you're a big advocate of that show, which is great, but that is the one thing I think that really stands out in the quote unquote success of the content is the authenticity piece. I think it is one of the things we try really hard on our team to be, is if you're a different, like you said, if you're a different person, people catch on to that. And I think that shows, and that is one thing I would give you so much credit for, is every time we've ever seen you with content in person, it's the same thing every time, and I think that is one of, in my opinion, it is one of, if not the reason the content does well.
I appreciate that.
You are that person, in those deals. You working out the deal with the kid. I don't remember the exact details, but you bought the card from a kid, and the guy's like, "Hey, I'm going to give you this money for it. I want to buy it." And you're like, "Here's the extra $20 I just got." You gave it to the kid. The Joe Burrow one recently, you had that crush with like I think it was a 10-10 contenders. Like, just your again, like that person, like that stands out so much in those deals and on video, but that's really who you are on camera. And I think that's one of the biggest things. You haven't always, what it's like. It's a journey.
Sure.
5 years ago, you weren't getting these views.
Yeah,
A
not
lot of
even
people
close. I was fighting for a few hundred likes and to get to 10K views.
Yep.
So to be hundreds of thousands of views and thousands of likes, it's all wild. But I think you got to keep the main thing and stay the same through and through. And
Yep.
of course, I appreciate you saying it. I've been coming up to you guys, dapping you up, giving you a hug for how long. It was never, nothing about that's going to change for me.
Yep.
It's amazing that people latch onto that, but it doesn't surprise me again because I think I genuinely love this thing.
For
I
sure.
would be doing this on my weekends and my days off and my after hours, no matter what I ended up actually doing.
Yep.
Because I loved it. I was hooked from being a kid. There's a picture of me at 10 years old that you might have seen on my page before where I post it here and there just as a reminder. It means so much to me. My grandmother took it, and it's on my 10th birthday, and all I wanted was a Derek Jeter jersey and the Topps baseball set. And I'm sitting there sorting just the good and the bad players, 10 years old. That's what I cared about then, and not much of it has changed now. So, there it is. I mean, I never get tired of looking at it because it means that much more every day that I'm creating something with this, creating
For sure.
something for myself and hopefully for the hobby. We're all trying to grow this thing. It's not even just about a me for me or you for you thing at this point.
Yep.
We're doing something bigger for this space. But I look at a picture like that and I go, man, look at all the fathers and sons that come out and, they have a connection over this. And look at the kid that needed something healthy to latch onto that he became passionate about and found his way in business. Or look at the guy who forgot what nostalgia was like and he rekindled his love because he's watching the videos and he's living vicariously through them. The stories I'm hearing now, it's just surreal. It's just surreal. And so I think when people see that you're in it for the right reasons and being real and being yourself and you care about something as much as they do, that's what forms a connection, a community, and a following.
Yep. Yeah, and you brought up a good point I caught on too, and I tell my wife, tell my friends, anybody that'll listen all the time, I would collect these cards if they were worth $0 at all.
Of course.
Like you said, if it was, I couldn't do it for full-time work, I would do it every waking hour I could. Loving it is an understatement. This is what I'm gonna do. There's not an alternative, and I resonate so much. I think your stories are very similar, and I agree with you tremendously there. Now, I want to shift gears a little bit. Obviously you make a lot of content, you go to a lot of shows. We always get, I'm sure you get this too, we get a lot of the questions like, what shows are you going to? What shows are worth traveling to? Is this one good? Is this one great? What are some of your thoughts right now on some of the better shows, some of the more enjoyable shows? Like, if you had to name a couple, maybe not necessarily the best shows, like Dallas is.
Yeah, there's no such thing as best.
Yeah, Dallas is a great one. We love Dallas, but if you've got to pick a couple of your favorites for different reasons, what would you pick?
Well, you know where I'm going to start.
Yeah, I know where you're going to start.
So yeah, the Sports Card Expo in Toronto.
How did that evolve? We've been there once, but I can't think of anybody that is a bigger advocate for that show than you are.
Because there's something about the energy going there. When I was first going there, early in my career, you got to make some good flips to cover that trip, right? But I'm going not only now to another city, but to another country.
Yep.
And I just remember how welcoming it felt. I was a big hockey fan to begin with. Yep. So in that instance, right there, me and those people are like this. Yeah. Okay. A proud member of the 11th province today. It's how it goes. But I love the sport of hockey. I love the vibe of those people, just the culture over there to begin with, and then immersing it into the hobby. That overlap there, going around, and all you find is there's other sports, and it's really grown in that sense over time, but mainly hockey. Yep. The joy that's in there is just amplified. Yep. And up there, not yet, it'll happen over time, it's not in the same place as the hobby is in the United States yet. Yep. So seeing so much of that genuine excitement and passion for things that are coming along that we've had here and taken for granted, that gave me a lot of sense of, it's just a good feeling. just you want to be here. You felt welcomed in and part of that. And me and my Canadian people now are like this, but I don't miss one, and I just can't find something that's compared to that for me. I love all of the shows in the U.S., but that was always the one that stood out and that I do everything not to miss. I haven't missed one since I started doing this, traveling for shows, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, Brian and I went, I think to the April show. I think it's when we went last year, was to the April show.
Yep.
I would agree with everything you said. It's everything I've heard. I've only been to one, but everything we've heard is that it's really grown from being less, quote unquote, hockey to more other sports. There's definitely a lot of hockey. There's no doubt it's a lot.
Did anybody twist your arm and try to get you to go?
No. To go to the show?
Yeah.
No. We got offered. They're like, hey, you want to come up? Like, see that? Like, we did some content on like the above the upper deck stuff.
Yeah.
Above the.
Well,
upper,
I remember
booth.
seeing you there, and I was just like, this is great that there's people actually traveling now to get here because it wasn't happening. I didn't see familiar faces there the first big handful of years. So.
But I enjoy the hockey piece.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the only professional teams we have in Columbus is the Blue Jackets.
Right.
So if I was going to pick who I would want to win a title outside of Ohio State, is definitely the Blue Jackets. I love going to the Blue Jackets games. And you go to shows in the U.S., like we're in Dallas, like there's not a ton of hockey in that show.
No.
So buying cool Blue Jackets cards, they're not like the Rangers or the Red Wings or the Penguins. Like, so walking in there, Dallas Stars, like walking in there to buy Blue Jackets cards, it would be nearly impossible. So it was cool to go and like try to pick up some of that stuff. But again, the atmosphere, the energy, the welcomeness. I will say that, like, because I think you've been to the London show.
Not yet.
You haven't been? Oh,
but
man.
I was going to mention that along the shows that I'm interested about. I think we're making our London debut in May.
Man.
I have not put that out there anywhere yet, but I think that's going to be our first UK trip. We went to Germany. We went to the Dusseldorf show.
Gotcha.
Card Madness. That was a lot of fun.
Really?
I had a great experience there. Yeah, so we had gotten some travel in on that front, but the international shows, of course, present a whole different opportunity.
Yep.
And London, I'm looking forward to getting to, but Toronto's always had that place. And for me, just to answer what you initially asked me, I mean, outside of that in the U.S., of course, Dallas. I see the Dallas show more than I see my own family. That's what I tell people.
Yeah.
We're here all the time, and it's great. It's an amazing opportunity to come here every 8 weeks and just do business and see everybody. It's a lot of fun.
100%.
So I always enjoyed this one. And then Atlanta, always the January Culture Collision show. I've always enjoyed that as an early show in the year. Thinking into the middle months. Fanatics Fest will be an interesting one.
Yep,
of course, the National. I don't need to say anything about the National.
Yep.
There's just it's the National, and then there's everything else. So that's how that works. But there's some big shows that I think people, if they're thinking about this, might want to take the opportunity to pop out to, even if it means a flight and a hotel. It's well worth it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pitch that same idea. I love your thinking here. People need to think about and pop out to some of these shows. Would love to have King of Cards in, Shipshewana, Indiana.
Oh yeah.
I need that's my pitch is Shipshewana, Indiana. Like, London is awesome. I've been to London for the London Card Show. The people there are amazing. The Expo is awesome in Toronto. The Dallas Card Show is great, but Shipshewana, Indiana.
Listen, you send me the directions through the corn maze, and I'll be there.
Listen,
okay?
We got one in May. I would feel really, really good about that show if you ever show up there. It is.
We'll talk about it.
It is not 5-star Marriott's in Allen, Texas, or in New York City for Fanatics Fest.
I'm low maintenance, man. I've slept on plenty couches, pull-out beds. Whatever gets the job done. But if they want to have me there, then we'll definitely try to make that happen at some point.
It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I would agree a lot with like the international thing. I think it, like you said, it just presents such a different opportunity. The people are so welcoming.
Yeah.
You'll love the London Card Show. I would love to go to the Germany show one day for sure. I love this idea of going to. Is the one in? Is it Macau? Is that where the one is abroad? I think it's in like Japan. That's one.
There is. I think it is Macau.
think that's where it's at.
Yeah.
So like
I haven't been.
I've not been to the Germany one, but like the international ones have definitely been a lot of fun. Obviously Dallas, like you said, is kind of what it is.
But dude, it's a big trip. I'll say that.
Oh yeah.
It was a big to do getting over there, and they're expanding it. It's now going to be a bigger show, and it's going to be a longer show. But it was like a day show, 1 day show. Yeah.
Wow.
There was a trade night before and a day show. I had made some great connections out there. It was more about the experience.
Yeah,
we
for
went
sure.
with Tops Germany brought us to. It was Dortmund, Barcelona in the Champions League.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that was an insane opportunity. So we went out there for some other reasons too. Just going to do business, probably not going to cut it for the most part. But very special experience, and hope to get back there at some point.
Yeah, we went to the London show, the exact same thing. Like we went there. Is it in Macau? Yeah.
Yeah.
We went out to it's where? We went out to the London show. We were only at the show for like a day. I think that was back when it was only a day show. It's definitely different. This is a funny little bit, and you probably have this in Germany, but like the time difference is so extreme.
Brutal.
So like Brian and I got over there. Like they tell you don't sleep. We're exhausted.
Yeah, I was gonna say this guy's probably knocked out behind the camera.
Oh gosh, Brian. Yeah, I mean, so we go to bed right away. So then you're on a different schedule.
Yep.
Because you're on your schedule in a country that's like 7 hours behind, or 5 hours ahead, 6 hours ahead, and we go to bed, and then the show's the next day at like 9 a.m. I think we were 5 hours ahead. Because we're like, Brian, we got to get up like 8:45, be there. The show starts at like 9 or 9:30. And it is 4 o'clock in Columbus time. We're on no sleep. And you're trying to, be a friendly face, meet people, interact.
I get it.
A different currency on no sleep at 4 a.m. your time. It'll teach you some things about negotiation.
Kev and I, and for those who don't know, Kev is my beloved videographer who makes it all happen behind the scenes, and editor. So we joke about it all the time. It's like, oh boy, like, King of Cards had some, he was tired in the morning or he's a little hangry. It's like, King of Cards is canceled. Like all of a sudden, what's going to get us in trouble with all these people? It's like, oh my God, I'm just a guy at a show and on how few hours of sleep. This isn't even traveling shows. This is here even. And it's like, oh, I'll take 2 seconds to try to go eat something, and the kid comes over and wants to take a picture, and I've never ever said no to anybody, and I'm like, of course, I got a fistful of the bacon, egg, and cheese, and I'm trying to lean for the picture, and Kevin's sitting over there laughing. He's like, oh, King of Cards, hates kids. I was like, I'm trying, I'm trying my best. So I get it. Traveling on that stuff and trying to make that all happen, oh my God, like even a day here in Dallas is exhausting, so forget about traveling like that.
Yeah, these days here are definitely long.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got some shows in the works. You're crushing the content.
Thank you.
Content's a whole different level right now. But what's next?
I have some projects I've been working on a long time.
Okay.
And I think I had to really get the framework in place to make it make sense for setting up a game plan. And I had a lot of ideas at once, but then I started narrowing in on what people actually want and what I think could benefit the space and see being a bigger thing. So, not giving any hints, but, tip of the cap to good ideas. And there's just going to be some fun things on the way that I really see something a lot bigger than what I ever could have projected with. I think there are a lot of opportunities in our space. Still, everyone thinks that there's been such a rush and so many businesses in it, but innovation and changing the game is really what I'm focused on, for the better, of course. I just think there's a lot of exciting things on the way for the space, and with that going to come new ideas and new ways to be a part of it. And so I'm looking forward to bringing some new products to the table and things that they may seem simple on the surface, but they're going to be a lot bigger in the future.
I love it. If there's anything I know about you, you're not gonna do anything, kind of half-hearted. You're going to go all in on it. You do it the right way. You do big things. So I know Brian and I will be eager to hear from you and see what comes. And I expect it will crush.
I hope so too, and I appreciate you saying that, but I won't get ahead of myself. I appreciate you saying that, though. We'll take it a day at a time, but I really do believe in what I'm about to do, and I think hopefully we'll sit down and a year or 2 years from now and we'll laugh about that we talked about it that one time on the pod. So
I'm looking forward to that catch-up episode a year later. But before I let you go, we could sit here and talk cards, content so much. And I'm so grateful for even the time we've had now. But I always end the podcast with one question, and I'm eager to see what you say. You've been in this a while. You've been in cards since you were a kid. You're crushing the game right now. But if you had to start over today, knowing what you know now, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
Check the pop count on Prism base. No, I'm just kidding. Man, when you want to take those educated risks, believe that it is going to work out. It is going to work out. Because I think up to this point, I'm making up for some lost time now, but there were some things out of the fear of them not working
For sure.
that I didn't jump off the cliff and learn to fly with. I, just kind of looked over the edge and took my time walking down. Again, educated risks is the key there.
Yep.
But I think I let some things go, some opportunities go to really hit it bigger, quicker, which is great in the long run and learned a lot from it. But I think I wish I would have known that, it's going to work. You're going to find a way to make it work no matter what. Take that big swing and go for it. And if you swing and miss, you'll still be there and you'll get another at bat and it'll be okay. So I think even with all we've been able to do, I think I could have swung a little bit bigger at certain points, but we're making up for that quickly now. So
I love it, man. I could have sat here and just listened to you talk all day because it's again, I just know it's authentic and I know it's real and it's just, it's things I just think are so true, and I hope, people took some good stuff away from this. I know I did, so.
I hope so.
Appreciate you coming on, and if anybody wants to find you, where are you really at on social?
King of the Cards, and Cards is with a K. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, so yeah, I ain't hard to find.
Check him out. Shout out to Kyle for coming on. Shout out to y'all for listening, but that's all I got for now. And that is a wrap. Shout out to everybody who listened to that one. I know a little bit longer, a little bit of a different interview compared to some of the ones we've done so far, right? Kyle I think the conversation there was a lot more around the content piece of it, but Kyle understands it. He's an expert. He's a great guy. If you guys are not following Kyle, you're missing out. Definitely follow him. Check him out. He's a good person doing good things. So rooting for Kyle and excited to, it was fun to get down to chat with him and just learn. Love learning from people in the space who are doing big things, and Kyle is no exception to that. So grateful for everybody who said to have Kyle on there, and grateful for Kyle for making the time. I know he was doing a lot of cool things in Dallas at the card show, but was very grateful he was able to make some time and come on the pod. That was something we're extremely grateful for. Got some product dropping this week, and I hinted at this earlier in the episode. Got a good amount of variety, so I've got it up here. Encore Football. It looks like this is kind of like the return of Pinnacle. Why it's not called Pinnacle, I'm not sure. I would love to ask Panini this. Because if you look at the previews of the product, it mentions like Pinnacle on some of the designs. So why it's called Encore, I thought at first it might be like a Chronicles type thing, but just looking at the previews, they all say by Pinnacle or Pinnacle. Brian's got a Joe Burrow patch up now. So not sure why it's not called Pinnacle. There's probably some naming rights there. But 1 auto, 1 jersey, 10 inserts, 4 numbered. Looks like it's around that $200 a box. We will definitely have some of it in store and on the website, but that looks like it drops this Wednesday. So looks like an affordable football product. You guys know, big on the football products that have the inserts, the rookies, the jerseys, the non-autograph stuff that require you to make your money back, something with a little bit more value upside. So I'm willing to do the work to potentially not lose the money on the box, rather than like a 1 card hitter for $250 where you either win or you lose. So product like that, fun. Heritage high number baseball, an affordable fun rep. We sell bunch of these. They are inexpensive boxes. That affordable baseball product is one of the best selling in our shop for sure. When you can get a baseball hobby box for somewhere between $75 and $125, it's always in demand. There's always collectors looking for that stuff. And I think that's the thing about Heritage High Number is it is a very collector-based product. Same with the next one. Again, I've never heard this before. We talked about it earlier, but this idea, 2025 Series 1 Baseball Fun Mega Box comes out on opening day. A lot of product is Wednesday or Friday. This is Thursday, opening day of baseball. Looks to be some kind of a push. I haven't confirmed this, but looks to be some kind of like opening day baseball type product. I think it says you get like 8 confetti inserts per box. So potentially a product to welcome back the baseball season. I like this. Series 1 baseball, very collector-driven product. With some higher end upside. Again, probably a little bit more limited odds just with the production. Topps has said those are heavily produced products to get in the hands of many collectors, but it's got some cool stuff in there. And then Origins Basketball, 24-25. I said it last week or 2 weeks ago. Basketball right now with no Bronny autos and the autograph exclusive deals. We talked about that with Leaf. We talked about that a bunch. That is definitely affecting product right now when, Topps has some of the big names and they're unlicensed. Panini doesn't have the big names, but they are licensed. It's definitely not doing any favors to the end consumer. It's full transparency. It is not ideal when you can rip a basketball box and not pull a Bronny James Lakers auto, or rip a Topps box and you get a Jaden Daniels auto, but it doesn't have a license. Origins Basketball is probably the same way. The cool thing is there's normally case hits. Brian, can you pull that up? Can you pull up Origins? Is Blank Slate in there this year? I know Blank Slate's usually an Origins type product, but I don't know what the case hit would be in that. Do you see Blank Slate on there? You probably want to Control F it. I see Tiger Eyes. Looks like they added a white Tiger Eyes. Saber-tooth Tiger Eyes. Okay. Interesting. See that right in the middle? It says, returning this year, find the popular hobby exclusive Tiger Eyes SSP insert with all new versions, such as Saber-tooth Tiger Eyes and white Tiger Eyes. Also search for the brand new hobby exclusive insert Origin Stories with parallels numbered as low as 1. So, again, I think that's probably the more obvious thing coming from Panini now is, Brian, keep that up because there's something I want to talk about there. But I think that's the more obvious play is, Panini has the best case hits in the market. We talked about that earlier on a previous episode. Their case hits right now crush. And I think with Topps having a lot of the autograph exclusive deals, Panini is leaning on the case hit market. They know there's demand for it. There's no question about it. The data shows that people want the case hits. Repackers and breakers use them. They are in demand. I'm telling you, we went to Dallas. We bought some for a video. They are in demand. They are definitely there. Panini appears to be leaning on that, and I wouldn't say I blame them. One thing I do see on here on the checklist, it says, chase the popular booklet cards in 6-star signatures and rookie auto booklet patch. Look for 1-of-1 black parallels in each set. And then it says something on the bottom here. Look for all new hobby exclusive memorabilia sets such as Origination memorabilia with parallels numbered from 49 to 1 and the brand new 101 logo, man. Again, if you can't have autographs of Bronny James and some of these guys, what better thing to do than to give them logo man and in case hits? And that's what Panini is doing here. They have access to those. One of the previews does show a Shea logo man, Clippers, good looking card. That's going to is that Origination? Is that what that says? I think it says Origination logo man is what it looks like, because it looks like it's from his NBA debut. Yeah, October 21st, 2018. So that's likely Shea's NBA debut game. So pretty cool. Again, I think you're going to see a lot more of that from Panini leaning on the case hits when the Topps has a lot of the biggest names for autograph deals in basketball and for football. All right, couple more products on the list here. B-Dub will have to pop back over. All right, so next one. We'll talk about that in a second. Leaf has one. Futures, Multi-Sport, Hobby, and Blaster. And then Panini's got Donruss Football Factory sets coming out. But I think the most popular release this week is going to be Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Journey Together. Booster boxes for this product are pre-selling well above $200. I'm pretty sure I'd have to double check. Again, I'm not the Pokemon expert. I'm not going to claim. I'm pretty sure MSRP normally is 120, 130, 140 range. I'd have to do the math. It's right around there. It's normally sub 150 for a booster box. With Pokemon hot, I would love to learn the chase card in this. I know Umbreon's been a popular character lately. Would love to know the chase card. But it's 36 packs, 10 cards per pack. Pre-selling at $239 right now. This is according to Blowout Cards on their website. But booster boxes, again, pre-selling for a good bit. It's mentioned some of the characters on here. I'll absolutely butcher those if I start reading those names. I'm not the Pokemon expert, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend to tell you that I know who all of these characters are and how excited I am to chase them, because truthfully, I don't have any idea. But a Pokemon booster pre-selling for $100-ish more dollars than normal definitely lets me know that there's going to be some demand for that product. And I just think there will be more demand for that than Origins Basketball, or for the mega boxes, or for some of the ones coming out this week. We'll see. I'm very, very intrigued by that. Heritage High Numbers, an affordable product you can get in the collector's hand for a great price. Leaf Future Multisports, not expensive. Encore Football is a $200 hobby box. Those days, that's a sweet spot. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of product coming this week, including Pokemon, including multiple sports. It's a sneaky release week. So excited to see how that Pokemon hangs with some of the other sports products this week. Next week's guest, we've got it recorded. We filmed it in Dallas. I'm excited to share that with you guys. Remember, if you're new, you've been a listener for all 5 episodes. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you leave those 5-star reviews. They help a tremendous amount. Comment on YouTube. Send us DMs on IG. How can we get better? How can we add more value? Want to know, want to improve, want to make this your first listening for all things cards and content. That's all I got for now, guys. Peace.